Good evening, everyone. Today I want to take you on a journey through two transformative movements in the history of the Republican Party, Reaganism and the Tea Party. These movements not only reshaped the party, but also had a significant impact on American politics as a whole. I chose this topic because as I was researching the Republican Party from an anthropological perspective, these two movements really stood out. They helped define the Republican Party we see today, particularly in terms of economic conservatism, limited government, and traditional values. Before we dive into the details, I think it's important to ask, how did these movements influence the Republican Party's identity, and why do they remain so relevant today? That's the central question I'll explore as I walk you through my findings. So let's get started. My research question is, what role did conservative movements like Reaganism and the Tea Party play in shaping the modern Republican Party's platform? In this paper, I argue that Reaganism and the Tea Party played crucial roles in shaping the modern Republican Party. These movements shifted the party's platform to focus on economic conservatism, limited government, and traditional values, ideas that still define the party today. To support this, I'll first dive into Reaganism, looking at how Reagan's presidency set the stage with free market principles, small government, and strong social conservatism. Then I'll explore the Tea Party, which took those ideas and pushed them even further through grassroots efforts and fiscal discipline. Finally, I'll compare the two movements to show how they work together to form a cohesive conservative framework that continues to shape the GOP and American politics as a whole. I will follow this up with questions. Reagan's presidency transformed the Republican Party with ideas that emphasized free markets, small government, and traditional social values. Inspired by figures like Barry Goldwater, Reagan promoted individual freedom, less government control, which marked a big shift for the GOP. His policies like the Economic Recovery Tax Act and the Tax Reform Act established tax cuts and deregulation as core Republican priorities, encouraging business growth and economic independence. He also pushed hard for reducing government influence. His famous line, "Get the government off our backs," summed up his approach, which included cutting welfare programs and promoting self-reliance, ideas that resonated with many conservative voters. On the social side, Reagan teamed up with the moral majority to promote family values, patriotism, and traditional norms, which helped strengthen the GOP's appeal to religious and socially conservative voters. His influence didn't stop at home. His Reagan doctrine extended conservative ideals globally while keeping U.S. involvement limited. Altogether, Reagan's legacy created a foundation of fiscal conservatism, small government, and traditional values that shaped the GOP's identity and paved the way for movements like the Tea Party. The Tea Party movement came out of the frustration following the 2008 financial crisis and government bailouts, which many conservatives saw as federal overreach. Rick Santelli's 2009 rant about a Chicago Tea Party became the spark that ignited a movement focused on fiscal conservatism, reducing government spending, and balanced budgets. The Tea Party criticized bailouts and welfare programs as unfair and dependency-driven, reinforcing the GOP's commitment to limited government and financial discipline. Grassroots activism was the backbone of the Tea Party. Local groups rallied, supported candidates, and promoted ideas like the penny plan, which called for cutting 1 cent for every dollar in federal spending. This energy helped Tea Party-backed candidates win big in the 2010 midterm elections, reshaping the Republican agenda to emphasize small government. Socially, the Tea Party also promoted values like patriotism and individual freedom, opposing policies like the Affordable Care Act, which they saw as federal overreach. By connecting fiscal and social conservatism, the Tea Party further solidified the GOP's identity as a party of both financial discipline and traditional values. Reaganism and the Tea Party shared a lot of common ground. Both were deeply committed to economic conservatism and limited government. Reagan introduced free market ideas and reduced government's roles, while the Tea Party pushed these ideals even further, using grassroots activism to amplify the focus on fiscal discipline. Together, they made economic conservatism a cornerstone of the Republican Party's identity. Both movements also doubled down on the GOP's commitment to small government. Reagan focused on limiting federal power, and the Tea Party followed suit with populist energy demanding strict constitutional limits. This strengthened the GOP's reputation as the party of personal freedom and minimal government oversight. Socially, both movements upheld traditional values, Reagan worked with the moral majority to promote family values and patriotism, while the Tea Party continued this legacy fighting for American values and opposing policies they saw as threats to personal freedom. Together, they created a unified conservative identity that shaped the Republican Party's platform today. The modern Republican Party has been shaped by Reaganism and the Tea Party. Economic conservatism is at the heart of its platform, with a focus on free markets and minimal government intervention, principles that appeal to voters who value independence and financial responsibility. Small government has also become central to the GOP. Reagan and the Tea Party both pushed for reduced federal power, and this emphasis on autonomy remains a key part of the party's identity. Social conservatism is another defining feature, with an ongoing focus on family values, patriotism, and personal freedom. Together, these elements form a cohesive framework that continues to resonate with the Republican base and influence the party's policies today. I used the following references to conduct my research and lay out this paper. To wrap things up, Reaganism and the Tea Party both played critical roles in shaping today's Republican Party. They laid the groundwork for a platform built on economic conservatism, small government, and traditional values, principles that continue to guide the GOP and influence American politics. As I work on this project, I'd love your feedback. Do you think my argument connects Reaganism and the Tea Party effectively? Are there any parts of my analysis that need more evidence or clarity? Does the balance between economic and social conservatism feel right, or should I focus more on one side? Any ideas on making my comparisons between these movements stronger? Are there sources or perspectives I should explore to make my research more robust? Thank you for your time, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts.